Hello everyone, Professor Toybox here along with Donald Duck, and today we're going to finish the build exercise for my Duckburg toy box. All that we have left are Gyro's house and the airport, and then a few little finishing touches. Once again, here's the screenshot of Duckburg from the 1980s DuckTales cartoon that I used as the design for my toy box. Unfortunately, it doesn't show where Gyro's house is located, or the airport, so I had to make a guess where those places might be. In the lower right corner, it looks like there's a residential area, so I chose to place Gyro's house there. Huey, Dewey, and Louie frequently ride their bikes to see Gyro, so that seemed like the perfect place to put it, because it's not too far from Scrooge's mansion. As for the airport, I chose to place that off-screen to the right. I'm going to start today with the airport, so here are some screenshots of that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to see except some runways, some hangars, and a control tower. We don't even have any hangar buildings, so I'm limited there, but we do have a control tower. Also note that there aren't many trees or buildings near the airport, so that's good because that'll save us some memory. So as we start here, I think I'm going to start with the road. So I'll come up to the racing drawer, and I'm going to connect up a road over here, right alongside the edge of this seam on the terrain here to help hide that. And we'll drop that, and we'll set the texture for that to be the toy box roads. I'll make that my theme, and that'll distinguish them from the main road so that when we're racing around the toy box we don't get confused as to what road goes where. And then for the neighborhood, I'll drop it right here, right before that turn, and that helps hide this seam here, which is good. Anytime you can hide terrain seams, that's a good thing. And then we'll find the intersection over here. And we'll use that for the end of the airport road. Alright, so now I'm going to add the parking lot for the airport terminal. And I'm going to use these flat blocks here. And we'll set the style for this to be the concrete. And I'll set that to be my theme. And I'm going to put down 2 of these. So we'll put another one right here. And again, that's the parking lot for the airport terminal. And under Building Sets Group 2, I'm going to use that as my airport terminal. Most of the buildings from the Incredibles set are much larger, and I don't want anything that large over here. So we'll put that down. But to kind of help it blend in with the other buildings a little bit, we'll use one of these building facades here in front of the building, and instead of leaving it centered, which cuts off those windows, we'll put it over here to the right just a little bit off center. And now we'll go ahead and put in the runway. So I'll come back to that long straight piece. And over here, it's not real critical where we put these pieces, because there's nothing connecting to these. There's nothing that depends on exact placement for these things. So it doesn't matter too much. For the runway, I'm going to use Dusty Crophopper's runway, and I'll set that to be my theme. And I'll put down 2 more of these to make the runway. We don't have to put down too many, but just enough to get the idea. Like that. And then we need the control tower. And that's one of the customizable pieces under the plants drawer. The Fantasy Terrain 2, actually. I'm going to put that right over here. Like so. And we'll set the style for this to be the plane's control tower. And there we are. And while we're right here in the plants drawer, let's go ahead and add some edging to the road here. Kind of set it off a little bit. And since we're using the Metroville plants everywhere, we'll keep using that style. So we'll use the Metroville terrain strip. And I could duplicate that on the other side over here, but I think instead we'll put down this one just for a little bit of variety. And again, I'll use the Metroville theme. That'll match the plants we're putting down everywhere. And there we go, nice little drive into the airport. And these things here, I don't want to put too far down this way because when we're racing around the toy box, I know speaking for myself, I'm not real accurate, so I'll probably overshoot the road here. And I don't want to run into those, so we won't put them up too close to the road there. Now, we'll work on Gyro's neighborhood. Here's a screenshot of Gyro's house. There's a deck on top of the roof and what looks like a huge satellite dish. There's also a white picket fence that surrounds the property. And I also see a lot of junk in his yard, but I'll probably skip that because I want to save memory again. The buildings that we need are in building sets group 4. And if you scroll over to the right a little bit, you run into the residential pieces. And I'm going to put down some driveways here. We'll add one about there. And we'll add one over here, maybe about like that. Put it right on the other side of the road. And one across from Gyro's house. And I'm going to use this for my garage on each of these. There's a larger garage piece that you can use, but when you put that down, that leaves a little bit of a gap there under the garage door where you can see the grass. So I tend to like to use those. And then we can put down just a square piece behind it, like this. And I'm going to hide that larger window. And you could theme these if you wanted to. I'm actually going to just leave them white. Doesn't really matter. The main one that I want to stand out is Gyro's house. I want that to be a different color because I think that's important. And just for some variety here, I suppose, we can put, let's see, we'll add this back here. Put this larger piece up like that. That gives us a little bit of variety as far as house shapes go. And that's interesting. Part of the window shows through that door. Oops. Meant to center that. And there we go. That's not too bad. Still not quite liking that. Let's see if we can flip this around a little bit. That makes a difference. Yeah, that makes a difference. And that puts a nice picture window on the front. So I don't know why the window is showing through the door on the other side, but that one doesn't. So, yeah. All right, now we need garage roofs, or just roofs, I guess. And unfortunately, these garage pieces stick out above the garage. And I'm not sure what to do about that because it looks goofy if we just leave it like this and have it like so. Kind of looks odd having that piece hang out there, but don't really know what else to do with that. So I guess we're kind of stuck with it. And I'm not sure that's the best way to do this roof, but would it look better like that? I guess we're going to end up with the same the same problem. So we got two roofs coming out like this, so yeah. Guess you can't be too picky about those things. That looks a little better. Here we are. So now we have a little neighborhood for Gyro's house. It's not really needed except for visual interest, I suppose, but yeah, at least gives us an idea of what we can do. And you know, the more I look at this, the more I'm thinking maybe what I'm going to do with this. I wonder, let's turn this way, and let's add this on. And maybe instead of this piece, we'll do this. Make the house a little bit smaller so it's not quite so weird looking. I like that better. That looks a little better to me. Okay, now we can do Gyro's house. And for this one, we're going to do something a little different. So I'm going to make his house square. We're going to put that right about here, like that. And we're going to change the texture on this. And ideally, I would like a wood texture that matches what he has, but unfortunately, the siding is in the wrong direction. It's vertical. It's not horizontal. So I'm going to use this blue siding instead. I think that'll look a little better, and I set that to be my theme. And we're going to put down a couple of roof pieces here. But Gyro has a deck on top of his house. If I put that down, I can't put anything on here for the deck. And so what I'm going to have to do is put down part of it with a replayer. So I'm going to come up to the Creativitoys, and we're going to drop a replayer off here at the end of the driveway, the end of the road. We'll come over here and step on, and I'm going to record, step off, and then we'll come back down to Building Sets Group 4, put that roof on. Actually, we'll put the supports for the deck on top. That's what I'd rather do with the replayer. And we'll stop recording, clear, step off. And now we'll put the roof on. Like that. And we need a door. Like so. And now we'll step on the replayer and play it back. And that puts the supports on there for the roof, for the deck on the roof. And now we're done with the replayer, so I'm going to go ahead and move this below the train and get it out of the way so that I don't accidentally step on that thing and push a button I shouldn't and mess it all up. Alright, for the floor of the deck, I'm going to use a couple of small blocks here. And right now the texture is concrete, which is not what I want. So I'm going to use this wood 1 texture, which matches the look of the deck supports pretty well. We need one on either side. And then up under decorations, if we scroll over to the right a little bit, we find a satellite dish. And that's good. And the last thing we need is a way to get up onto the deck there. So under the platforming toys, if we scroll left, I'm looking for the pipe climbs. And I think that one will do. That's the right height. And I don't really want that blue. So I'm going to change this to be the gray. And there we are. Last thing we need is the picket fence. Back to the decorations drawer, and unfortunately here we have to scroll to the right a little ways. It's about a third to halfway down the drawer. La da 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 da. And we should be coming up on it here pretty quick. There it is. And so we're going to put this about like that, and about like that. And add a piece on either side. And then we'll put the fence down here a little ways. And it doesn't have to go too far. If you have the memory, there's all kinds of stuff here in the decorations drawer that you can use to add junk to Gyro's yard. There's some of the pieces there off to the left in the drawer that are barriers that are good to use, and whoops, I put that in the wrong place. Needed to go a little bit further. Yeah, kind of want the house centered in the yard. And we'll take those back out. That looks better. Okay, as I was saying, there's a whole bunch of different things here. You've got different barricade pieces, you got stacks of crates, you got stacks of tires, just old barrels. You can put all kinds of junk-looking things in here and just kind of go nuts with it. You got boxes and, as I said, stacks of tires and all kinds of things that you could just throw in his yard. Make it look like a junkyard if you want. But I'm going to save the memory on mine. So now that we have those in, let's put in some trees. So we need to add some trees into the neighborhood here. And I'm looking for the Metroville trees. Here we go. And to kind of put a nice little barrier on the edge of Gyro's yard. Put a few trees in like that. And a tree over here in the neighbor's backyard to kind of add a boundary, a little bit of a boundary to his yard. And kind of needs a little something over here, I think. So I'm going to add a tree over on this end, maybe like that. And you don't want to put in too many trees, but you need a little something here. And I think that'll be good to see that coming down the road. Over on this side, again, I don't want to get too close to the road here. So I think maybe something about like that. And we'll put one over here. And I want to use the small trees as much as possible since we're near the airport. Those larger ones, that one out there back by the road is okay. And we can maybe stick another one of these back over this way. Just for a little bit of something. But again, we don't want to put large trees too close to the airport. Just looking through my notes here, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. So let's add another little one here. And I'm going to put one out about like so. And since we're a little further away from the airport, over here, it shouldn't be in the way of the runway. Maybe put a little one out here. And we'll stick one off the end of the runway way down here because this needs a little something. That shouldn't be in the way. And now this end of the toy box looks a little bit square. A little bit too square for my taste. So I'm going to put in some terrain and I'm going to set this to be the Metroville theme again. Like that. And that'll update in just a moment. That looks pretty good there. We can put one here to help hide that seam a little bit. A little bit larger one off the end of the runway. Maybe like that. And ideally, I would love to run this down the side of the toy box here to add a bit more of a finishing edge to that, but as you can see, my memory is almost, that's a little bit over half full, and I need to save room for the activities, because this is a massive toy box, and so I don't want to fill it too full of detail. We do need a little plant or something on top of this hill, though, because the top of the hill is a little empty. So we'll put a couple of quick trees up here, like that. And we should probably put a little tree down here at the edge of Scrooge's property, because I don't really want to try to run a fence along here, and it'd only go part way, because that hill will be in the way. So I think the tree just kind of helps establish the end of the boundary there. Maybe another one over here. And we could use a couple over by the lighthouse. And so I think, let's see. Let's put one over here, about like so. Another one maybe about like this. Just to kind of give it a little bit of a finishing edge on the back of that. And then on the other side of the bay, we left space over here for Phineas and Ferb's water slide park. So we'll come under the set pieces and go to the right. And that looks pretty good. And we'll add in a few more trees just to give it a little something down here. Again, I don't want to go nuts with this, but it does need a little bit of something. So maybe over here about like so. And a nice larger tree that you can see as you're coming down the bridge. So that kind of breaks up just the plain background there a little bit. Something to fill this space here. And then over on the other side, we'll add a couple of extra trees in over here. And again, I don't want to go too crazy over on this end because the player is not going to spend a lot of time on this end of the toy box. So I don't want to put too much down here because odds are they're not going to really be down here much to take a look at it. But if we put a couple of trees and maybe the farm, kind of give the impression that this is more rural. Like that, I think that should be sufficient. It gives you a little something to kind of break that up a little. And again, I'd love to put a finishing edge on the side of this, but I don't want to use up too much of my memory. But yeah, this is looking good. I think that's enough as far as detail goes. Again, I'd love to put more detail in here, but with a toy box this massive, I'd really rather spend the time putting in games to play. And so I think that'll do it. So there we go. That's Duckburg, or my recreation of it anyway. I think it turned out really well. Next time, I'll start working on the first story in my toy box, The Beagle Boys' Assault on Scrooge's Money Bin. In the meantime, I hope you're enjoying this series so far. If so, please give it a like and let me know what you think in the comments section. If you haven't already done so, I encourage you to sign up on my blog or subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next episode. And don't forget, there are floor plans and logic diagrams on my blog that will help you build my toy boxes on your own console or PC if you want to do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.